Today we're going to be looking at Lesson 27, dealing with our slideshows. Here we're going to be talking a little bit about setting up and showing our slideshows. Specifically, one of the things we want to talk about is adding and naming sections to our slideshow. We'll be showing you how to create a custom show. This is where you show only some of the slides in your slideshow. We will be dealing with naming a custom show. We're going to show you how to choose the slides that are going to show in that custom show, and even arranging the order of those slides. Next, we're going to deal with how you would hide and unhide slides and why that becomes important. And then finally, we're going to start up a slideshow and show you how to navigate that slideshow. We're going to show you how to go to a hidden slide, and then finally, we're going to show you something called annotations on a slide and how to save those annotations. We will need to open the files for this lesson, and to get to those files we're going to go to page P-31. P-31 is the page that we need to navigate to, and here you'll find the PowerPoint file that we need to access. Opening up that PowerPoint file, you will want to save this file to your documents. Placing it in a folder with today's date. If you do not already have a folder with today's date, you can use the new folder button to make that happen. Now that we have our file open, we're going to begin working on the lesson, and the first part of today's lesson is dealing with sections in our PowerPoint presentation. Sections basically just simply, as its name implies, divides our PowerPoint slides into different sections. In order to add a section to the PowerPoint presentation, what I need to do is click in between the two slides where I want to place a section break. So here between slides 4 and 5, I'm going to add a section break. On the Home tab of my ribbon, there is a section option, and using this section option, I can add a new section. So I've now added a section which has been given the name Untitled Section. I can now name this section by right-clicking on the section and choosing Rename Section. The name we're going to give to this section is Company Graphics. So I type in the term Company Graphics and I click Rename. Now, one thing you should always be aware is once you've added a section to a document, PowerPoint always adds a default section in front of the first slide. So I wish to rename that default section, so I'm going to right-click on that very first section and choose Rename. And here we're going to give the name simply the name of our company, which is Restoration Architecture. The text for this, if you're not sure how to spell it, is right here on the first slide. Restoration Architecture. Once I've typed in the name, I click the Rename button. We do wish to add one more section to this particular slideshow, and that new section is going to come between slides 10 and 11. So I'm going to click in between slides 10 and 11, going to Section, Add Section, adds my new section in, and now I'm going to rename it. I'm going to rename it this time by clicking on the Section button and choosing Rename Section. The name to this last section is going to be called Gallery. G-A-L-L-E-R-Y. E-R-Y. It is on slide 11 if you need help with the spelling. I will click the rename button, and that will rename this section. What I want to now do is take these 4 slides that are in the gallery section, and I wish to actually create a custom show. What a custom show does is it allows you to show a slideshow with only a few of the slides that you have. This is handy if you want to create one big show and then divide that show into smaller slideshows, maybe because you don't have as much time to show the entire show. Maybe the audience that you're speaking to lends itself more to a specific section of your show. To make this happen, we're going to go to the Slideshow tab. Clicking on the Slideshow tab, there is a button that will let me create what is called a custom show. So I'm going to click on Custom Show, come down to the Custom Shows button. Here I have a box that allows me to create my custom shows. I click the New button. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to check off the slides that I want to include in my custom show. In this case, slides 11, 12, 13, and 14 are the slides that we are going to place in our custom show. Once I've selected the slides that I wish to add, I click this Add button in the middle, and those slides will then move over to the other side. One point that I do want to make apparent to you is on the custom show, you will see that the numbers on the right are different from the numbers on the left. The numbers on the right will speak simple chronological 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. They do not correspond to the slide numbers that appear on the left-hand side. In addition to adding slides to a custom show, we can actually even reorder the slides if we wish to do so. For example, in this custom show, I want this Gregorian style, which currently appears last in the show, I want it to come first in my show. So with Gregorian style selected, I'm going to use my up arrow to simply move this up into the number 1 position. This allows this slide, when the custom show is started, to show first. The final step is going to be to name our custom show. So we're going to come up here where it says Slideshow Name, and we're going to give this the name Gallery Show. Gallery Show is the name we're going to give this custom show. And when we give it that name, we click OK. We now see the gallery show appearing, and if I click the show button right now, it's going to begin that custom show. Notice and I mispronounced the name earlier. I said Gregorian, it's actually Georgian. The Georgian style is the one that came first. Moving to the next slide, the Restoration Gallery appears next, followed by Queen Anne, and finally the Tudor Revival style. One note you do need to be aware of if you choose to reorder the slides is you will note that the slide numbers do not change. So even though this is a custom show with 4 slides on it, it still is going to show you the slide numbers of the original show. That being said, you may not want to have slide numbers if you're going to use a custom show. Pressing the escape key to get out of my custom show. The last thing I just want to point out to you is if you do have a custom show, when you come to the custom show button, you will see the list of the custom shows that may exist in this presentation right here, and pressing the button will again begin the custom show. The next item we want to do is show you how to hide a slide. On slide number 10, for whatever reason, they wish to hide this slide. So I click on slide 10. I then right-click on the slide, and I choose from the list Hide Slide. What this will do is it will place a line through slide number 10. That's the visual clue to let you know that this slide is going to be hidden. To demonstrate this, I'm going to go to slide 9. I'm going to begin my slideshow. And when I progress to the next slide, you will see that indeed it does skip over that slide number. Again, do note that if your slide numbers appear on the screen, they will show that that slide was skipped over to the observant watcher of your presentation. On my slideshow, slide 1, I'm going to begin my slideshow, and I'm going to progress to slide 2, slide 3, slide 4. Let's say that at this point, for whatever reason, I wish to go to that hidden slide, slide number 10. Well, what I can do to make that happen is on the keyboard, I can press the number 10, 10, and now I'm going to press the Enter key. As you can see, that has taken me to slide number 10, even though it is a hidden show. I'm now going to go back to slide number 4 by pressing 4 and Enter, and that will bring me back to slide number 4. And if I want to at this point, I can continue progressing through my slides, pressing the Escape key and going back to slide number 1. And let's begin our slideshow. In this case, what we want to do is we want to show you a few little tricks that you can use as you give your slideshow. So here on slide 1, I begin my slideshow, and it displays my first slide. As we've talked about in previous occasions, you can press the left button, you can press the right arrow, the down arrow, the space bar, or the Enter key. All those items will progress you to the next slide. What I do want to discuss is something called annotations. Annotations give you the ability to, in essence, write on or mark up your slideshow. If you come to the bottom left-hand corner of your slideshow, you have this marker tool. If you point on this marker tool, I am going to choose at this point what is called the highlighter. With the highlighter selected, I can now take and highlight parts of my slide by simply holding down the left mouse button. Please highlight the first point of slide 2. Coming back down to the bottom corner, we can also choose the pen. Using the pen, I can draw on the slide in order to emphasize specific points. Many people will use the highlighter to make notes on their slide. The next thing I do want to mention is some keyboard shortcuts. In addition to being able to draw right on the slide, you may want to blank out your slideshow temporarily. Sometimes your slideshow gets a lot of attention and you want your audience to focus on you for a moment, not what is on the slide. Well, there are two keyboard shortcuts that can help you with this. The first one is the letter B, and if I press the letter B on my keyboard, it will give me a blank or black screen. Just a note, I can write on this blank screen as well. Pressing the B again will clear that blank or black screen. There is another option though that I can use if I don't want a black screen. I can press the W on my keyboard and that will give me a white screen. And just as before, I can write on this white screen if I wish to do so. In order to get out of this white screen, I press the W again, and that brings me back to the white screen. I do want to point out that you can, going to this bottom button that we've been using, we also can use the eraser if I wish to erase certain parts of my drawings, my annotations. There is an option down here also to erase all ink on the slide. You can also achieve that same effect by clicking on, or not clicking, but by pressing on your keyboard the E for erase. Go ahead and take a moment and place some kind of markings on this particular slide. You do have the laser pointer if you wish to bring more attention to a particular point. I'm going to move on to my next slide, and I could highlight and mark up each of these slides as well. I'm finished with my slideshow now, so I'm going to press the Escape key, but when I press the Escape key, I am going to get a prompt that I haven't seen before. That prompt says, want to keep your ink annotations. If you wish to keep the marks that you made using your highlighter or your ink, you can choose Keep here. When I do that and I go to slide number 2, I will see those ink annotations that I made on slide 2. In this lesson, we learned how to add sections to our presentation and to name those sections from the Home tab. We also showed you how to create a custom show. The custom show allows you to show just a select group of slides rather than showing your whole presentation. We named that custom show, we chose the slides that we wanted to show in that custom show, and then we showed you also that you could rearrange the slides in that show. You also have the ability to hide a slide. The reason why you might hide a slide is maybe that particular group of people that you are going to be showing your presentation to doesn't need to see that particular slide. And then finally, the last thing we talked about was navigating your slideshow. Here we showed you how you could go to a specific slide by typing its number into the keyboard and pressing enter. And we also showed you how to annotate a slideshow and then to save those annotations at the end.